Well, contaminated water in Prince George's. CTV News first brought you the story of a coal waste dump in Brandywine more than 8 years ago. That's where toxic fly ash could be found blowing across the site and into a neighboring children's park. Last year, the Prince George's District Council unanimously voted to close the site on North Keys Road. But the closure doesn't mean that problems don't persist. In a new report by an environmental watchdog group, the site was declared one of the top 10 worst in the nation for groundwater contamination from coal waste.
Out of hundreds of coal ash waste sites across the country, the 7th ranked worst nationwide sits right here at this Brandywine landfill in Prince George's County, according to a new study by the Environmental Integrity Project. The organization analyzed monitoring data produced by the owners of the sites themselves. The worst news, according to the data, 91% of all U.S. coal-fired power plants are contaminating groundwater with unsafe levels of toxic pollutants.
This report compiles information from all over the country, and it makes clear that the Brandywine facility that has been closed, this disposal facility for coal, actually is on the 10 worst list, basically, in America. It's one of the 10 worst contaminated sites or worst run sites in America for coal waste. It also means that the site, which is under a federal consent decree to clean up its act, even though it's been closed, it still has to remediate the harms there. And we know for a fact, because the company that runs it has disclosed, that they've already contaminated the groundwater, the water that is in the ground. And the water that is in the ground is part of what feeds the well water for people who drink water from wells in the community, in the neighborhood.
The data shows that the Brandywine site and 2 other locations in Maryland have contaminated groundwater with unsafe levels of at least 8 pollutants, including lithium at more than 200 times above safe levels and molybdenum at 100 times higher. Too much lithium can cause diarrhea, seizures, and shaking. Molybdenum can damage the kidney and liver.
We're talking about the exact same carcinogens, heavy metals, and so forth that you'll find as constituents in coal. These are naturally occurring in coal, and that's what ends up eventually in the ground and in the groundwater, and also to the surface water. There are also surface water discharges, in other words, river water, stream water, things of that sort. So it's a site where the contaminants on it are migrating off of it. Your film crew actually showed wind blowing coal waste off of the site. That actually was used in the public proceeding to help revoke the special exception. But water contamination is a whole different vector.
Researchers say they know for sure that nearby aquifers are contaminated but can't determine the safety of drinking water near the coal ash dumps because power companies are not required to test private drinking wells. And many homeowners who do test their wells refuse to make the data public.
Now, that study also says that the contaminated groundwater at this site is now feeding into and polluting local streams. CTV has reached out to the county for its reaction to the potential crisis, and we will bring you that response as soon as we hear back.